Right people, we have updates regarding the camera upgrades we could get with the 15 series, and so let's delve into it. So the common consensus so far has been the fact the Ultra is getting all the camera upgrades and the regular Pro is going to be left out. Since a big camera feature that's been rumoured, the periscope zoom lens, is only coming to the Ultra because A, Apple won't stop selling you to the bigger size, but also of course you cannot physically fit the periscope lens in the smaller Pro chassis. And so I've been wondering, what's Apple going to upgrade with the regular Pro if of course we're not getting periscope zoom? Well, that's where TrendForce came in and told us we could see an 8-element lens with the main sensor on the 15 Pro, which of course could improve the clarity of the shots. Though to be fair, that's not a major upgrade, but it is a change nevertheless. However, Quo now tells us that no, that's not going to be happening, and so now I'm wondering what's Apple going to give us with the 15 Pro, because if we're not getting periscope zoom on this and Apple's not changing the main or the ultra wides, what's the point of getting the regular 15 Pro over of course the 14 Pro? So yes, I'm still very curious what Apple's going to do with the cameras on the 15 Pro, because Apple does usually give us camera upgrades nearly every year, so there needs to be something different. And maybe they do give us some telephoto upgrades, maybe 5x for the regular Pro and 10x for the Ultra. That would be nice, I guess. But ultimately, I wish both sizes had the same features like they do right now, because I know there are many consumers who want all the camera features but don't want the size of the Pro Max. However, Tim does focus on the profits, and the 14 Pro Max is the most popular device, and so upselling consumers to the biggest and highest end iPhone makes sense. Anyways, let's delve into your comments. So Dominic says, if Apple keeps the 3x and adds a second telephoto, the periscope lens, for 10x optical zoom on the 15 Ultra, they should have a new quad camera design. I think it's time for a new camera design. Now I do know Android phones offer this, but personally I doubt Apple's going to do this. I definitely think the periscope lens is going to replace the 3x, and Apple's simply going to give you the option for 3x by either zooming into the main sensor like they do with the 2x, or of course combining data from the main lens and the periscope to give you that 3x. I believe that's what Google does with their phones, and the optical zoom looks great. And so yes, Apple should implement the same with the 15 series. And as for the camera design, I doubt we're going to see quad cameras, because the triple lens camera has become iconic, with many phones looking the same on the front. I think Apple wants to maintain that look on the back. But also, of course, Apple rarely changes the back of the iPhone in the first place, and especially when they don't need to, I doubt they're going to give us any changes on the back of the device. So yes, while we should see periscope zoom, the 15 Ultra on the back should look the same for the most part. So Michael says, I would love to see Thunderbolt on the 15 Ultra, and I think many consumers would, because if you're going to use ProRes, transferring that footage over Lightning is going to be a pain, so of course implementing Thunderbolt on the iPhone and making these transfers super quick would be appreciated. And yeah, it's a shame the iPad has ProRes and the Thunderbolt ports, but the cameras on that are a lot worse than the iPhone, so the iPhone should have Type-C on this, and considering these now forcing Apple to implement this, I think they will do it. So James N says, will haptic buttons work with the case? And I'm not sure about this, though worst case scenario, cases can just have cutouts on the sides of the device for the haptic buttons. So Aurora says SE4 must have Touch ID and OLED, and a headphone jack if possible. Now Touch ID and OLED I could see materialize, but I don't see Apple ever giving us back the jack on iPhones. We're fully into wireless now with AirPods. They make way more money for Apple, and ultimately apart from a few budget Android phones, most smartphones have moved on and has completely got rid of the jack, so yes, I doubt we're going to see it. I mean, do remember it's going to be nearly a decade since Apple removed the jack, and they've yet to reverse it with any iPhone, so yes, it's a permanent change. So David444 says, a 10/10s design would be better, and this actually has been hinted at by Ross Young, because he said we could see a 5.7-inch LCD panel for the SE4, and that is very similar to the 5.8-inch OLEDs we saw with the 10 and 10s. And so theoretically I can see Apple retaining that body, but of course with thicker bezels on the front and LCD instead. But as I said, this design's been out of circulation for years, and so I doubt it's going to make any financial sense to revive this design for the SE4 when of course they can just reuse the 13 mini shells that are already in production. So Fast Fizzy says, I would love it as the 10R design, mini design would just be too small, and this is actually what Apple wants in my opinion, because we know the mini is ultimately a niche product and Apple wants to upsell you to the higher end models. And so the SE being a small phone that of course isn't going to appeal to a lot of consumers makes sense for Apple since they can upsell you to the flagship series. So Vedraj says iPhone 11 would be awesome, I'd really want a wide angle camera, and this I don't see happening because once again Apple wants to upsell you to the higher end models, and so they're going to give you the bare minimum with the SE, so of course expect the same main sensor from the SE3 and nothing else. So DeJorde says, I think they'll release it in March 2023. Now this I would love to see, but as I said, Apple does not do yearly refreshes for the SE, so I doubt this. I think a 2024 release makes more sense. So Hawk says 10R was a good phone, the SE4 should remain with a single lens on the back. That 48 megapixel from the iPhone 14 would be great. Now with the A16 Bionic it would be a blast. 10R on steroids. Now personally I have my doubts the SE4 is gonna get the 48 megapixel main sensor the 14 Pros have. I don't think the SE would ever get that, to be honest, and definitely don't expect any major camera upgrades with this SE4. Ultimately, I think the hardware is going to be identical on this, it's just the A16 and the software upgrades that will enhance the camera ever so slightly, but of course, it's still going to be behind higher end iPhones. Now regarding the 10R being a good phone, I do agree with that. It's a solid device, but I think SE consumers would appreciate something smaller, and of course, that would help Apple upsell consumers to the higher end models because they know the 6.1 inch size is perfect for many consumers. And yeah, if I'm being honest, we have too many 6.1 inch iPhones, and so we don't need another one with the SE4 in my opinion. So Malik says, why can't they make the SE4 like the new iPads with the new colours? And yeah, I really hope Pross is wrong about the colours and we get much more vibrant fun colours instead. In fact, if this is based on the 10R, then the colours from that would be fantastic, so Apple do reuse those instead of giving us the regular black, white and red. Anyways, that's about it, but of course, tell me your thoughts regarding this in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video above on details regarding the M2 iPad Pros, and on that note, see ya peeps.